Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's FishBooks Friday session. We've got bookkeepingautomation.com here today. We've got John Leishman, and James Elser. There's too many J names. I said it twice before, and it worked totally fine, and now, of course, that we're recording it, I messed up the name. I apologize. So just to introduce myself, my name is Rachel Fish. I'm the lead trainer for QuickBooks in Canada and the owner of FishBooks. And what I was finding was that there was not a lot of resources for Canadian pro advisors in Canada. And so that's what I've really specialized in. So you can reach out to me, of course, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. And something that I'm super proud of is our Facebook group, QB-HQ, for all things QuickBooks. And we actually do have pro advisors from all over the world in there. So even though we kind of cater to the Canadian pro advisor, of course, I know we've got Americans and Canadians and even somebody from the UK in today's session. So thank you guys very much for joining us. But that's a little bit about me. And of course, I welcome an invite from you guys in any one of those formats as well. So I would like to introduce John Leishman and James Elser of Bookkeeping Automation. And one of the things that I'm most excited about, as I mentioned, is the ability to start offering these automating tools that we're so used to with our QuickBooks Online clients to be able to use those with our desktop clients as well. And so I know John and James, Bookkeeping Automation is going to integrate with QBO as well, but probably the most excited I am is to be able to introduce some of these automation tools to our desktop clients as well. So John, did you want to tell us a little bit more about bookkeepingautomation.com?
Sure. So I was talking with Jeff Bourgeois probably like 3 years ago, and we were talking about automation in some of the seminars that he was giving, and that seemed to be a real hot topic for a lot of the folks that are attending his seminars. Hey, James, do you want to share your screen for the first slide? And so we started building a product that leveraged data automation for various accounting platforms. And we started off looking at Intuit's products, and we realized that there's a number of companies that already do this. I mean, there's HubDoc, there's a number of other ones. And so we really wanted to focus on what could we do differently that would add value to bookkeepers to help them make more money. And so there's two key things that we focused on. One is integration to the QuickBooks Desktop platform, which I believe is still about 3/4 of Intuit's market. I know it is changing quickly, but right now that's the reality. And the second thing was, sorry, I've just lost my train of thought here because of the screen. So, and then the other thing that was that came about was there's no one doing individual line item extraction out of vendor invoices. And the third thing that came about is, wouldn't it be cool if you could upload PDF bank statements, because you can't always get your clients to subscribe to bank feeds, or they won't give you the username and passwords to their online banking profiles. Wouldn't it be cool to extract data out of bank and credit card statements that are PDF'd and be able to code from those in a faster way than currently just typing them into an Excel spreadsheet or typing them right into QuickBooks Desktop or QBO for that matter. So just want to quickly go over the differentiators. That's the quick story. And I'll apologize, I've got a bit of a cough here. That's why James is going to do most of the demo. So again, our differentiator is individual line item extraction from receipts and vendor invoices. We're the only ones in the marketplace that integrate with QBO and QB Desktop for this. So if you're doing any sort of inventory or more complex transactions, we automatically extract all those individual line items and allow you to code them to job or class according to whatever the requirements of your client is. We also do proper tax extraction and mapping for Canada, and then USA deals with it a little bit differently. And obviously, it's the same for Australia and the UK. Our servers are located in Canada for anyone that is concerned about that. We do have Canadian pricing. We do have a free value pricing tool. This works well with Mark Wickersham's software, which is pricing in the cloud. So you can take a look at how many AP and AR transactions and bank and credit card transactions a client is actually processing in a 24-month period, which helps you build a nice value pricing proposal for prospects. Or if you want to change your existing clients from hourly to value pricing, this tool will help you do that. We embed help videos throughout. We're multilingual. We just got our first request in Spanish. I'm not sure where the person's from because I didn't check, but we are multilingual. As I mentioned, we can convert PDF bank and credit card data into QBO files, OFX files, or we can allow you to code right from within their user interface and push it to QBO and QuickBooks Desktop. This came out of a previous discussion actually with another QuickBooks Pro advisor, but we can do multi-vendor name matching to a single vendor name, and James will go over that in the user interface. And that's really the real key differentiators. James, can you go to the fourth slide? So a couple of things I just want to quickly go over is we really wanted to solve the problem of how bookkeepers are doing bookkeeping right now. I know there's lots of great tools like T-Sheets and HubDoc and so on to automate a lot of work, but a lot of clients simply aren't on those platforms. And the reality is you get a whole bunch of paper, and now you have to enter it into whatever accounting platform your client's using. So we wanted to solve that problem. So we call them the garbage bag shoebox clients. We've developed some best practices for scanning. We have some that people can watch so that they realize you don't just scan one piece of paper at a time. You can scan up to 50 pieces of paper at a time and import them into our platform or HubDoc or any other platform for that matter to get the data extracted properly. So we spent a lot of time looking at the whole process of how bookkeeping is done for most bookkeepers right now, and how can we make that process easier. And then we have I call them the credit card and bank statement clients. So they've lost their source documents or they don't care or whatever the case may be. We've allowed you to take, we actually had one client right now in Calgary, and they had 60 statements, bank and credit card statements, excuse me. And that was a year's worth of statements, a ton of work. She could upload them all to our platform. She could bulk code all the transactions, memorize them. So when the client came by the next year, 50% of her work would be already done. And then the third one is you got a client on QuickBooks Enterprise, the database is at their location. How can you do the AP side of the work when you have limited access to their database? So those are the sort of the main problems we solve. And I think because we only have another 20 minutes left or so, we'll get James just to jump right into a demo. Oh, sorry. Thanks, James. So, really in the perfect scenario, we came up with two situations that really we want to help bookkeepers achieve, and that is a completely automated system. This particular slide is geared towards American-based bookkeepers, but we've got Doxo here, and we've got FileThis Pro. These are like HubDoc equivalents, but they're American-based. Doxo connects to 17,000 different vendors. FileThis Pro connects to about 700 and is growing fairly rapidly. So you can use these tools to get your clients to put in their credentials. It'll automatically bring in all the statements and vendor invoices. You can push them into Box or Dropbox. We can pull them into our platform, and from there they can go into your various accounting platforms. So that creates a really nice solution for automating getting all the data. And then, James, if you show the Canadian version. Okay, well, there's a Canadian version of the slide. Instead of having Doxo or FileThis Pro, you simply have HubDoc there, because HubDoc's a great document retrieval platform, but they don't currently extract line item detail, and they currently don't extract data from bank and credit card statements. So, James, I'll turn it over to you. You can go into a quick demo of the user interface, and we can talk about some of how we can help you make more money.
Sounds good. Thanks, John. Guys, I'm just going to give a real quick overview of our system. So I'm set up as a bookkeeper / accountant, a volume data entry person. I have a whole bunch of clients here. Manage my clients from this screen. A couple of key features is that we have the ability to have individual email addresses set up based on the account name and the phone number, so that you can email either PDFs or pictures, and that gets pushed to our platform over here. We manage the software from here. So as John said, we do QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop for Canada and USA at this particular point in time. We have the ability to do various components that we can view or code to. For Canada, we have Jobs, Class, and Memo. For USA, Online is an example. We have Tax, Customers, and Class. Let's see, what else have we got? Very simple to hook up to online at this particular point in time. For QuickBooks Desktop, what we're using is the QuickBooks Web Connector, and we use what's called the QWC files to be able to download and synchronize to that system. We also, of course, as John mentioned, we have cloud integration. In this particular demo, we use Dropbox, and the idea is we pull information up, push those original receipts back down, And then when it gets scanned and extracted, it gets renamed and put in here, so easy access and find out how it's associated with the transaction. Another key feature in here is that if you have staff, you can assign that staff to a particular client. They can log in with that email address. Once they've got logged in, then they can code here as well, and they won't see any billing information, etc. So I'm just going to jump right into the meat and potatoes of it all. Actually, guys, sorry, I'm just going to go on the screen here. Okay. So in here is our data automation page. In this page, a whole bunch of information is geared towards you for both filtering and for coding. We have the ability to see what document's been extracted, whether it has a matching a payment from a bank statement, have the ability to whether or not it's been coded or if it has been synchronized to our file. Our receipt shows up here, shows up also when you click on the link. We can go into a detailed view, which I'll show you shortly. This is the vendors that get pulled up from your database, of course, your GLs, your taxes, jobs, and classes. We currently are implementing an is billable component so that if you have an item that you want to assign to one of your customers, you can easily do that. This is a new feature that we're going to be posting in here. Whoops, sorry, guys. And actually, that's a good thing. The error is that it can only be posted to an expense, another expense, or an inventory item. So as you see here, I selected a bank account. Doesn't allow me to do that. Whoops. Doesn't allow me to do that. So I go over, select whatever it is expense that I need to deal with, tax, do an is billable, and it saves it, and I can push that. This is the information that gets extracted. This is the vendor information that gets extracted from the receipt and the amounts. Slide all the way over to here. And we have the ability, if again uploaded a banking statement and they find a matching payment, it automatically selects what it is. That is the payment account. And then I can select it and I can code it. And just so you can see that I'm not lying to you here, this is Golden Husky. Golden Husky is not in my system right at this particular point in time. Because this is a brand new vendor, I can insert that vendor into my system. I'm just going to go over to my QB Canada top site here. Okay. And there is no Golden SO right here. So I'm going to go quickly code that. Okay, so it's fuel, GST, is the job, it is invisible, and it was, is billable, and it was a Visa payment, real quick, easy peasy breezy, ready to sync. So just imagine if I had 100 Golden Husky vendors, I've just coded all of them at once. Currently I'm just doing one. Go over here and I'm going to go synchronize. Okay, Golden S is going to show up here. And it's going to show everything at that particular point in time. So while it's doing that, while it's refreshing this screen, the idea here is that you have a whole bunch of receipts. All the receipts are always the same. We use the trucker as an example. They have 100 gas receipts for the month. They're from all sorts of different vendors. The very first time you upload the receipts, you have to do a bit of work and you have to memorize it and code it and know where it's going. But once you do that, the next time that receipt gets pulled up again, it'll automatically match. So I'm going to use the example of SO here while it's synchronizing. I'm going to go search for SO. Okay, sorry, Golden Husky right there. Bill payment. There's the credit card payment. Fuel, GST. There's the amount. Abraham is billable. Some people ask, well, where's the PDF? I can go right here. I can copy that line item in the memo. I can open up a browser. Okay, and then I can post it. Just so people are aware, I have not logged in this particular session on my server, so it has to have login credentials. If I do it over here, because I am logged in, there's my PDF right there.
Awesome.
Okay, so
It looked like MJ had a question there. If you guys could do me a favor, just either type into the Q&A section there, MJ, or in the chat so that we can make sure that we get everybody's questions. That would be awesome. Thanks.
You bet. Okay, so here's my SO. Here's a bunch of N-line SOs. They have not been memorized, so very quickly, easy peasy. SO, my GL account. I'm going to do office supplies because I feel like doing office supplies today. And is billable. Just want to show you an error message here, by the way. If I click is billable, it's going to pop up and say, hey, you have to choose a customer. So I choose my customer, Robbie, is billable. I go here, select. As soon as I go memorize, all the other N-line SOs are going to be coded automatically. Successfully memorized. N-line SO. So then I can easily select all my N-lines, 1, 2, 3, and go on from there, and then I can action, and I can ready to sync them. Okay? Last component that I really want to quickly blow through is banking statements, because we only got 10 minutes here, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions. Banking statements. Here, I can upload a PDF for a bank statement. Sorry, guys, there we go. Okay, and so what it does is it asks you right away, how do I know which bank statement this is or which credit card this statement is? So if this was a credit card statement, I select it. Again, this is pulled from your database, so you can choose what you want. You browse for the file, and you upload it. And you can upload up to 1, up to as many as you want at that time. When the information is uploaded, you can click on the link. PDF is going to show up to the left here, like that. Okay. You go through and you can review. Sometimes if a scan is bad, this is a purposeful scan that has been a bad scan, whether it was a bad DPI or maybe it was written or it was skewed. You can go and you can edit this directly. So you can edit description, statement date, debits amount, etc. For bank accounts, we have a self-check mechanism because bank accounts usually have a running balance somewhere. We have the ability that if the scan extracted the amount incorrectly, there will show a difference here so that you can correct it. So what we advise clients to do is that if they do upload bank statements, they do check the bank statement to see that it's worked. Here's an example, right? This got extracted incorrectly, so now I'm able to fix that, put the amount in, put the detail in, etc. Okay? And so any information that is here is pushed over to the data UI. If there is a matching payment, the matching payments will not show up in the data UI, but anything that is not matched will show up in the data UI, and that way you can code. This is fantastic for, let's say, shareholders. Shareholders give you a Visa statement, and they say, hey, some of these are business and some of these are personal. Here's all my business receipts. You could upload the business receipts and the Visa statement, and then you could go into the bank UI, delete the ones that are all personal, code all the business ones, and Bob's your uncle. Okay, that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of it all. I wanted to quickly show you training videos, so we have the training videos in here for helping out. The idea is that a window pops up. If you have multiple monitors, you can take the screen, you can drag it to another monitor. We have a playlist here, so the idea is that you can choose to look through the videos in this system right here through the playlist, and then you can train yourself on the product. Value pricing tool, we can go over that. But I think we've got like about 10 minutes here, so I wanted to leave it open for questions because I'm sure there's going to be lots, and we'll go from there.
Actually, while we're at it, James, I do have a question. You were talking about the PDF and how that got brought over into desktop, and it actually is a link in the memo section.
That is correct.
But then you were talking about whether you're logged in or not. So do you need to be logged into bookkeepingautomation.com in order to get that link turned into a sorry, if you could just kind of explain that part of it again.
Yeah, no problem. So what happens is it's a security flaw. If we just give you an open link and you can copy and paste that and throw it into any browser, then that's a security flaw. That means anybody can go in and see that link. So the idea is that link, you have to log into Bookkeeping Automation. So here's the link in the memo field, okay, to that PDF. And so really what I do is I just double click, I copy it, so I went Control C, and then I can go into a browser, and if I stick it in the browser URL like this, and I hit enter, it's going to ask me to log in. And so that's a security feature so that you are protected, your clients are protected, etc. So because I'm logged in this particular session right now, I'll put in that credential, or sorry, that URL, and there's the PDF right there that you can view. Okay.
So can I add to that, James? Hey, James.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
So I guess to expand on that, Rachel, is if people are manually uploading the bank statements, then that's the way that the links can be displayed in the memo field, because the actual PDF is actually in our platform. If you're using Box or Dropbox, or if you have like an FTP set up on your own server, then it'll link to wherever that particular PDF is in those respective, either the local area network or else the cloud-based file storage system solution you're using. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Thanks, guys.
For QuickBooks Online, we have the ability to insert the PDF directly. Okay, so it's part of the attachment. So here's that memo that we talked about, and then here's the PDF directly.
Awesome. I do actually have a client that we are unable to use Receipt Bank for because they're a restaurant with food suppliers, and I've noticed there seems to be this specialty in the food industry because they basically pre-code the invoices for us, except that in Receipt Bank it's taking us just as long to sit there and add the additional line items and get that information in order to push it through to QBO. But in your case, we would actually be able to do that right from the importing of it, right? That to me is that to me is an awesome feature that I don't know if everybody knows they need, but it's definitely extremely useful. Can you show us maybe how that works?
Just loading it up as we speak.
Awesome.
The other thing too is we memorize the individual line items, right? So if you have a SKU from your supplier and you're matching it to an item in your QuickBooks database, you can match it so any ensuing vendor invoices automatically line up to the right item account.
Great.
Okay, so as you can see here, this is an invoice. It has multiple line items. That information has been extracted right here. And so I can code. So I can code either by expense or by item or any combination thereof. Okay. In this particular database, I'm sorry guys, this is the only inventory items that I have, okay, or item numbers that I have. So I can select it. I can choose different codes. And as long as the description within the invoice is the same, this will memorize for that. And then we can push that item in the exact same way, and it'll show up in line items. Okay. One of the requests, though, has been is that if this was all the same expense, having the ability to push this as one summary view. That's one of the items that's coming up next in our product development. So the idea is that if I push it from here, it'll just show up as one line item. If I push it from here, it'll show up as multi-line items.
Right, so people want the flexibility to be able to do both. You don't always want individual line items, but when you do, you really have to have it, right?
Correct.
Awesome. Any other questions from any of our registrants today?
I'm not seeing the chat, so you might have to read them out to me, Rachel.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We're good. Everything's cut up.
Okay.
Anything else you wanted to show us?
Sounds good. How about John, I just flip over to the data automation, or sorry, the value pricing, and then you can talk quickly about that.
Awesome.
Sure. So I'm part of Mark Wickersham's got a value pricing group, which I'm part of, and I'm intrigued on how to help bookkeepers migrate to a value pricing model. So one of the challenges I thought that would be facing bookkeepers is if you get a new prospect, it's really difficult to understand how you're going to price out this new prospect when a lot of business owners don't know the volume of transactions, or they sometimes omit information when you're trying to onboard them. So here we can see, we show you can get a copy of their, you get access to the QBO file, or you get access to the QuickBooks Desktop file. You can upload it to our platform or synchronize it with our platform. Excuse me. And we'll show the volume of AP transactions as well as the average number of line items per AP transaction. So what this does just helps you understand, does this person have 100 AP transactions a year, or do they have 10,000? Do they have 10 rows per vendor invoice on average, or do they only have one? What's going on in the excuse me? What's going on in the AR side? What's going on in the bank and credit card side, which is a little bit lower down? And then you can use this information in Mark's software because he has something called banding, and that helps you build a value pricing proposal for your client. Or even if you want to migrate your hourly-based clients to value pricing, this is still a helpful tool to say, hey, you know what? The volume of transactions that you've been, your business is growing, your volume of transactions is going up, and therefore we need to charge you a higher price. And you can use that information to try and get more money from your clients for the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but clients always say that they have less than they do. Like, oh, I just have a couple of receipts or a couple of credit cards. And then it's like, oh, they have 10. And so by being able to have that tool, that's awesome. We do have a couple of questions coming in. Tiffany's wondering if there's a partner program, or is this more of a practice management tool, or is this something that your clients are going to be using? So could you guys talk to that for a second?
Sure. This is geared towards bookkeepers and accountants. And yes, we have a partner program and we have a referral program as well. And for business owners, like for your clients, we have a different brand, and that's called Enter My Invoice, which some people have already told us it's a bit confusing. But the reason we do that is we have different pricing on the Enter My Invoice website, which is basically 2 to 4 times higher than what your pricing is. The idea is that if they go to that website, they will feel they're getting more value from you, because you might be throwing in the Enter My Invoice product as part of your value pricing toolkit, right? So that's why we have 2 different brands. So this is really, our bookkeeping automation platform is really geared towards bookkeepers to help them do the data entry faster than they could if they were manually doing it. Like, we're taking all the advantages of QBO and then adding some additional features on and making it available to the desktop as well.
And that for me is how this then gets to be a game changer, when there are clients who need to stay on desktop, who are not good fits for QBO, and yet still are learning about these apps and these tools that are going to end up helping to automate their function, which is awesome. Really quickly, because we're already at 12:30, how does bookkeeping automation differ from MoneyThumb and ProperSoft is a question that came in.
That's a great question, and I'm going to have to quickly Google that. Or maybe what I can do is I can answer it. If you leave the Zoom chat open afterwards, I can quickly let me just write those down.
Sure. Yeah, and I definitely will do that. We'll leave this open so that if anybody does have any questions for James or for John, you're certainly welcome to go ahead and ask that. But before we do, I just wanted to wrap up today's session. So thank you guys very much for joining us today for another FishBooks Friday. And next week, I'm really excited to present Sean Clark of Invoice Sherpa. He's going to be with us at noon Eastern, 11 Central, 10 Mountain, 9 Pacific. So stay tuned for notices coming out to be able to register for that FishBooks Friday. We're going to start publishing those on Monday. For any of you who have registered, you will be getting a recording of today's session in your email box tomorrow. And of course, I will pump it up over social media over the weekend as well. Thank you guys so much for attending. Again, if you'd like to stick around for some questions after, that would be awesome. I certainly welcome that. But thank you guys so much for attending this FishBooks Friday, and I hope to train you again soon.